Hi there friends! So I thought I would do a quick little walkthrough of what my first 15 days of gratitude documented has looked like so far in my book and in my Bible. So I've got my Grace and Gratitude book that I'm working through, and then I've also got my Bible. This you can get on Dayspring. It does not come with the coil binding. I took mine to Office Max and had it coil bound, and then I added a bunch of ribbons and fabric to it to just kind of make it fun and special. This Bible I actually got at the beginning of the year on Amazon. It is a double column ESV, so you'll see it has 2 columns and then the journaling space. I love this one. It's a little bit smaller, which is great for a 100-day project because I can carry it around easily with me if I'm on the go. But then it also, it does fill up way quicker. You'll notice a lot of my pages will already have multiple entries on them because with 2 columns of text, it fills up very quickly. So first, let's flip through. And for each day, I kind of just keep it very simple. I go read through, I highlight with my Faber-Castell markers, and then I put together my entry on the page. I normally work with kind of just a big title starter and printables. For each of mine, you'll see I'm using one of Elaine's little rainbow tile markers, and then I'm lightly stamping on each entry in gray ink this thankful stamp from one of the past ones. So, day 1 was fresh starts. And I loved using these printables. It was so fun. And printables, honestly, are what make this process something that I can actually do every day. So here is my day 1 Bible entry to coordinate with that. And I just try and generally coordinate it. So leaves, keep it pretty simple. Day 2 was blessing. So here was my entry for his gifts. And I just did a very similar watercolor with the flowers to match that. Day 3 was perfect peace. And this is one of my favorite verses of all time, so I definitely already had that one journaled from the 100 Days of Bible Promises, but I redid it here. And if you look closely, I actually used the stencil with some gelatos. Here, the stencil that came, little acorn confetti. It's super fun. I can't wait to use that again. I love just the really subtle background it gives. Day 4 was good choices. Or just choices, and I said good choices dwell on him. And I loved using this little banner that said a grateful heart looks up, as that just reminds us that he's providing all of these options for us, and we want to stay focused on him in order to follow his word. And so I use that same floral motif here. Day 5 was full of joy, and this was actually a printable from last year's Gratitude Documented, along with Elaine's set. And this one I did in Proverbs. And I just used her little mug there again. Day 6, give thanks in all things for all of the small reminders. And that was just a really cool thing. I don't know about you guys, but I rush through my day so often, and I don't always stop and really give him credit for all the little things in my life. And there's so many little things in my life that I can be thankful for. And I love this little God winks all around us. I love that little phrase that Elaine introduced last year into one of her sets. I love it. Day 7, grace. I mean, can we really? We all need to be grateful for this every day, but he is grace. And for this one, I worked in Romans and used some more of Elaine's leaves. I love this set from Shauna Klingerman. It is so cute. And these little trees were just adorable. They remind me of my sister because she loves trees. But I just love the colors and everything. And so I just said, grace keeps me humble. And this one was all about humility. And here I worked in 1 Peter. And for each of mine, if I ended up working in one of the verses that was not part of the printables, I just used my typewriter to create a little header just like that. And so for each of my headers, I'm using a rainbow label with the free printables and then the colored free printable on the back as well. And then I continue to use the rest of them down there. And you'll notice on each of my entries, I printed out a clear sticker of the label, and then I typed out the daily entry so that I could keep that numbered. Day 9 was forgiven, And I just used this Falling on My Knees, the framed artwork from one of last year's kits of the printable sets, and I love it, along with these adorable little pumpkins and gourds. I mean, so cute. I love these kind of like offbeat colors of the teal and the peach. So fun, so fun. For this one, I worked in Psalms again. Incorporated those same little pumpkins. So fun. Day 10, I am redeemed and restored and saved by grace. So much goodness here. I loved using Shauna's florals and one of her little banners there. I just love making these huge title starters so that as I flip through each day, I can just kind of see the main thought that I was pulling out of this. And for this one, I worked in Titus. This was salvation. And I just used the rest of the florals. You'll see here I cropped them and the second half is right there. So I loved how that kind of flowed together and worked together for that entry. Day 11, a grateful heart of praise. And I don't know about you guys, but I love all the artwork that's already in these books. All these art marks are so cool. So I just added the printable of the paintbrush and the art mark brush stroke behind it. So easy, and all of this art was already there. I love how easy this makes it to just be able to journal and get our thoughts out onto this. For this entry, we're in Exodus, and man, I don't know about you guys, but I try and think that I'm not like the Israelites, but I so am. I see myself in them more and more, and so this verse was just a really great reminder to remember that I need to recognize him and praise him and not have a grumbling heart, but a grateful heart. For day 12, I was thankful for his greatness, and I used this cute set from Elaine last year, the Harvest in My Heart set. So adorable. I love it. Let me pull this one out. His greatness was in Psalms as well. Psalm 145, 2 and 3, and I just used some more of Elaine's cute little acorn printables from last year. And guys, can we talk about how this Revival Camp washi tape matches so perfectly with these colors? I love it. Day 13, in awe of him and his strength. And I just said, I'll praise you with all my heart and all my soul. And I loved using last year's chipboard pieces. And then you'll see I like really lightly stamped with this gray ink that came from 2 years ago, the Gratitude Documented kit. And that's what I've been stamping this thankful with every day. But I loved these stamps and I loved creating these backgrounds. That was one of my favorite things to do 2 years ago. And I just did the same thing in this entry, and I just stamped these leaves in the light gray all over. Love it. It's probably my favorite ink pad. Day 14, I'm thankful that he is near and he will come to us. And this is totally just a example of how you can kind of cut up the printables and make them your own. So this one was a longer phrase that I kind of chopped up to make it shorter. And this printable originally said his nearness, and I just rearranged some letters and wrote he is near, because it's so true, and he really is. I don't know about you guys, but this entry was really cool, just talking about how he's near to us at all moments, but even in the nighttime when we call on him. And for me, it took me right back to last year when I was dealing with a lot of health stuff, and I dealt with a lot of pain and anxiety at night. And the more that I prayed and came to him in those moments, he was so present, and he would show up through songs and books and different things that I was reading. And so it was just a cool reminder of where I was last year and how he was speaking to me over this whole past year. So that was not fun, but a good entry to remember on, and just remember how thankful I was. And this one I put together last night on the 15th, and I just used one of the printables again. It says, do not let your heart be troubled, trust him. And trust is my word of this year, and it's been so cool to see how God has woven that word through the whole year for me, and just continues to bring it up and teach me So that was this little entry, and I loved using this little washi that came in one of the printables as well. So those are my first 15 days, a little over 2 weeks. We are halfway through 30 days of gratitude documented, and we're just a little ways into our 100 days of grace and gratitude. So I really hope that you'll join us. I will see you guys soon. Bye, friends.